Hey guys, it's Dan with Aero Junkie. Thanks so much for tuning back in. Hopefully you found some really good information out from video number 1, the spinning, cutting, squaring video. But now it's time for number 2. So we're going to talk about insert and outsert installation and some tuning as well. The tuning portion of it is really going to affect the outserts and the halfouts. So if you use a halfout or an outsert, I'm going to show you how to tune those as you install them to make sure you have no wobble. So let's do it. Okay, we're going to go over insert installation. Now, we've already cut our arrows, we've squared them, we've cleaned them. They're ready to go for the most part for our installation. Now, today we're going to be using VAP TKOs. We're building some VAP TKOs, so we're going to be using their standard outsert for the VAP TKO Elites, and that's a 50 grain outsert. So we're going to do some tuning on this too. So if you're just using inserts, this is a good video for you to watch anyway, because one of these days you'll end up with a halfout or an outsert that you'll need to tune. But the installation process that we get to, the actual glue and installation process, is the same. There's just no tuning with the actual insert. So we're going to talk about outsert, halfouts, that kind of thing. We're going to do the tuning. Again, we've already cleaned them, we've already squared them. They're ready to go for the most part, except one thing I like to do before I do an insert, outsert, halfout, any kind of installation like that, is I like to score the shaft just a little bit. So I've got these all facing front. So basically what I'm doing, I'm just using a gun cleaning rod. The wire brushes for the gun cleaning rod happen to coincide with the inner diameters of several different arrow sizes. So if you get yourself a good gun cleaning kit, which I happen to have, and you probably happen to have anyway, you can make use of it. So basically what we're going to do is take this rod, this wire brush insert for the gun cleaning kit, what you would clean your bore with, and we're just going to go ahead and score the inside just a couple of times of your arrow shaft, the end that you're going to put your insert in. So we're going to do that to every one of these arrows, just to score them a little bit, just to rough them up a little bit so that that glue, that adhesive, is going to bond a little bit better. So again, just do it a couple of times, in and out a couple of times, get it scored up a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and take care of the rest of these arrows, and then I'll catch you back here in just a minute. Okay, so all of the shafts are scored, all of the shafts are cleaned. We're ready to install these outserts, but first we want to tune them. So I'm going to show you how to tune them. I'm going to explain the process real quick first. So when we put an outsert or a halfout into the shaft, we want to make sure it's completely seated, right? It has to be seated right. We do a couple of things to make sure of that when we put the glue on it as well. But before we actually glue it, we want to make sure and put this thing on a spin tester and spin it and make sure that there is no wobble. If you're not careful, you will have a wobble. I'll show you. Okay, we're ready to tune this insert to this arrow shaft. Now we've got a very, very straight arrow because we have already cut it. We marked the parts that needed to be cut off, the bad parts. We cut them off, we squared it. Everything is really good on this shaft and ready to go. We just need to get this outsert on there, and we need to make sure that it's tuned right. So we talked about our trusty silver Sharpie. We're going to use it again today. So here we go. We're going to take this outsert. We're going to go ahead and slide it in. Make sure it's seated in there very well. No glue. We're just going to tune this first. We're going to give it a good spin. I don't know if the camera is going to pick this up very well, but there's a little bit of a wobble on this insert. So it's not seated quite well. So we're going to give it about 1/8 of a turn. We're going to spin it again. Still got a little tiny bit of a wobble. Spin it just another 1/8 of a turn. There is no wobble now. It is straight, super straight. We have no wobble whatsoever. So now we're going to mark this insert, draw a line across it and across the shaft. We're going to set it off to the side. Now we know that one's square. We know how to glue it on, right? We're going to move on to the next one. Okay, another square, straight shaft. I'm going to slide that outsert on. give it a good spin. You can probably see the wobble in this one on the camera because it's pretty good. So we're going to turn it about 1/8 of a turn. Immediately that wobble went away. Sometimes it takes one turn, sometimes you get them on perfect, sometimes it takes 4 or 5 turns. So another one done. Okay, we got 2 of them done. I kind of showed you the process there. It's super easy, but man, is it important, and man, does it help, I promise you. So I've got these other 10 arrows. I'm gonna go ahead and outsert tune the rest of these 10 arrows, and then I'll get back with you and we'll finish this up. Okay, so I've got all these outserts tuned to the shafts and we're ready to go here. But there's a few things you're probably going to want to have on hand before you get started gluing your inserts, outserts, halfouts. Obviously you're going to want to have some glue, whatever you use. If you use hot melt, or if you use a 2-part epoxy, if you use AA Max Impact or Goat Tough Impact, or any of the other impact or insert glues out there, I would just suggest that you use an insert glue, because the polymers are different on the insert glues than they are on vein glue. They're just built and designed to adhere the insert to the carbon shaft. It's a little bit different than vein glue. So definitely use an impact glue. Also, you might want to have on hand some acetone and a shop rag, because we want to clean this stuff as quickly as we can, because when this stuff dries, it's really hard to get off. Okay, so we're tuned. All of these are marked, and it's time to glue. I'm just gonna kind of just show you one of these arrows real quick. You can see right there, not glued, but I've got both marks, so I know what to do here. So super easy when you're gluing your inserts, any kind of insert, outsert, half out. All it takes is a little bit of glue, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna show you real quick here, is I'm just gonna take and put a bead of glue down one side, just a small bead down one side, a small bead basically about 180 degrees on the other side. Put this glue back in here, and then I'm going to take this outsert and I'm going to slide it into the shaft, and I'm going to turn this shaft and I'm going to move it up and down a couple of times. I'm going to get that outsert glue really good and covering that entire shaft, and then I'm going to match up my 2 lines right there. Boom. Oops. Make sure they're still good. They're matched up. You can see we've got a little bit of excess glue. Not too much, but a little bit. We're going to come over here. We're going to give it a quick double tap just to get all the air out. Make sure we're still lined up. We are. Then we're going to grab our rag. Get a little bit of acetone on there. We want to get this excess glue off as soon as possible. Remember, don't twist, because we're tuned. We're lined up with our marks. Straight down, straight down, straight down. Clean it off. Now, another important thing is we want to get this thing vertical. We want the weight of the shaft pushing down on that outsert, insert, half out, whichever one you're using, to make sure that it seats and stays seated while the glue is drying. So I want to take this over here. I'm going to lean it up against the wall right here with the insert, outsert down. Now the weight of that shaft will keep that seated while the glue dries. Now another thing you might have noticed, we have no knock, right? There are no knocks on these. The knocks came off as soon as I opened them up. I took the knocks off so that we could do carbon to carbon measurements and get these arrows cut, these shafts cut, right? Well, we don't want the knock on while we're doing an insert installation. There's a reason for that. You can get air pistoning. It's an interesting thing. So, and you'll feel it. You'll feel the air anyway when you're installing. I'll just grab another one. When you're installing your outserts, inserts, half-outs, whatever you're installing, when you install them, when you push them in, when you slide them in and you're twisting them with that glue on there, you're going to feel a little bit of pressure. You're going to feel that air. Well, that air, that excess air that's in the shaft, is going to push out the bottom of the shaft. If you have your knock on, that's a problem. It's not. It's going to get trapped in there. So you're gonna glue that. You're going to get it all set. It's all glued. You're going to give it your double tap. You clean it off. You go set it over there, and guess what? You're not going to believe it, but that air that's trapped in that shaft will actually push that outsert up. I mean, not that much, but it'll push it up a little bit. It'll actually move it. That air has to go somewhere, and it's going to go path of least resistance. This hole is closed, This one is too, but there's glue. So it's got some lubrication, so it's gonna move on you. So make sure, always make sure knocks are off when you're installing your outserts, inserts, half-outs, whatever you're installing. You do not want them to move on you. Then they get out of square, you get a wobble, bad news, okay? We're gonna do one more here for you, and then I'm gonna wrap these things up, show you how it's done again. Super simple. One bead there, 180 degrees, another bead there. We're gonna grab our shaft. They're both marked and ready to go. Slide it in. We're gonna move it back and forth a little bit. Get that post completely covered with glue. Slide it in, get my marks lined up. Good. Over here, quick double tap, make sure it's seated. Grab some acetone. Again, remember, we want to go down only. Do not twist because we're lined up and tuned. Only down. Clean that glue off. You want to get that glue cleaned off. I'm telling you, it's a pain in the ass to get it off once it's dried. I'm going to go over here, set this bad boy down, up against the wall. Got the weight of the shaft pushing down on that insert. It's flush. The glue's going to dry. We'll be square and ready to go. Okay, I'm going to knock out the other 10 of these arrows, get them ready to go, and then we'll wrap this thing up. Okay, I've got them all done. As you can see, sitting over there against the wall, there's a dozen arrows. The outserts are drying. Everything should be great come tomorrow. I typically let my inserts, outserts at the installation dry for, you know, a good 12 hours, usually around 24 hours. With the glue I just used, you don't really need that much time. I just want to make sure that those things are seated and they're glued in there good and ready to go. Now, especially if you're using a hot melt or a two-part epoxy, a lot of that type of thing will call for a 24-hour set time. So make sure you pay attention to the instructions on the glue before you actually start doing anything else with the arrows. You definitely don't want to have any problems with with your installation of your insert, outsert, half out. Anyway, I appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope that made sense to you. I hope it was easy. My goal with this whole thing is to try to make everybody understand that it's really not that hard to build your own arrows. There's really nothing super hard about it. It's, as I always say, it's not rocket science, and it's actually kind of fun. And again, once you start building your own arrows and you see the difference in your groups when you start shooting, you're going to be addicted. I promise you. So anyway, that wraps up this video. Next video, the third video in the 4-video series, is all about the wraps. So we're going to go through wrap installation. Should be a fairly quick and fun video. Wraps are just fun, right? They're cool looking. There's all kinds of different colors and patterns and stuff like that. So we're going to talk about wraps and what the benefits are to having wraps, and maybe you don't want to have a wrap. There are pros and cons of both, so we'll talk about the pros and cons of both. If you don't use wraps, then you can skip video 3 and go right into video 4. Video 4 is going to be all about the vanes. We're going to talk about fletching configurations, the types of glue we're going to use, all the different fletching jigs and stuff like that. So I look forward to seeing you on the next video or the 4th video, whichever you choose. And again, I appreciate you guys tuning into this. I hope this helps. And if it does and you like the video, please do like the video. And if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, I would greatly appreciate that. And of course, arrowjunkie.com if you're interested in any of the the tools and equipment that we have to build your own arrows, or any of the bare shafts, vanes, you name it. We have it all to build your own arrows. So again, thank you very much. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys, and we'll see you on the next video. Shoot straight.